Hello guys, welcome back to the channel Mathematics JEE. In this session, we are going to discuss some questions that had been posted by Soul of India in the comment section. So today I am going to post the solutions of all the three problems that he posted. Here is the first problem. Proof that the legendary polynomial fnx equal to nth derivative of the function 1 minus x square whole to the power n has n distinct real roots between open interval -1 to 1 using LMVT. Actual legendary polynomial looks like ln x equal to 1 by 2 to the power n times n factorial, then nth derivative of x square minus 1 whole to the power n. So this is the actual form of legendary polynomial. But here this is some function fn of x. Okay. So we are to show that this polynomial has n distinct real roots between -1 to 1 using LMVT. So this function is nth derivative of this function 1 minus x square whole to the power n. Now let us assume this function as f of x. So f of x is equal to 1 minus x square whole to the power n. We can write this as 1 minus x whole to the power n, 1 plus x whole to the power n. So we can say that this function f has 2n real roots in -1 and 1 closed interval. So these 2n real roots are basically n number of -1 and n number of +1. So if we see this function is derivable and continuous, derivable in open interval -1 to 1 and continuous in closed interval -1 to 1. So we can apply LMVT for this function. So we can say by LMVT in closed interval -1 to 1 there exists C1 belonging to the interval -1 to 1 open such that f dash of C1 equal to f of 1 minus f of -1 divided by 2. So f of 1 is 0, f of -1 is also 0. So this will be equal to 0. That means the derivative, the first derivative of this function f of x has one real root in open interval -1 to 1. Similarly, if we consider the derivative of this function, so f dash x will be 1 minus x to the power n, then n times 1 plus x whole to the power n minus 1 minus, sorry, plus, this will be 1 plus x to the power n, then n times 1 minus x to the power n minus 1 times minus 1. So this will be 1 minus x whole to the power n minus 1, then 1 plus x whole to the power n minus 1, then it will be n will be common, and then 1 minus x plus 1 plus x. No, there will be a minus sign here. So overall minus, like this. So minus 2nx, then 1 minus x whole to the power n minus 1, then 1 plus x whole to the power n minus 1. So now we can say that f dash x has 2n minus 1 real roots in closed -1 to 1. How? We have this x equal to -1 here, x equal to 1 here, and there is a point x equal to c1. So we can see by this that x equal to 0 is a root of f dash x, which is the value of c1 basically. So c1 in this case will be equal to 0. So here f dash x has n minus 1 repeated roots, that is x minus 1 equal to 0 or x equal to 1, and x equal to -1 is repeated n minus 1 times. So there are totals n minus 1 plus n minus 1 plus 1. So 2n minus 1 real roots in minus 1 to 1. So now we can apply LMVT on this function f dash x in two separate intervals, this and this. So LMVT on f dash in the interval minus 1 to c1. If we apply this, we get f double dash c2 equal to 0 for some c2 belonging to the interval open minus 1 to c1. Similarly, if we again apply LMBT on f dash in the interval c1 to 1, we get f double dash c3 equal to 0 for some c3 belonging to the interval c1 to 1. So can we comment about the number of roots of f double dash x? Yes, we can see that if fx has the multiplicity of the roots equal to n, then f dash x has the multiplicity of the roots equal to n minus 1. Multiplicity of a root is defined as how many times the root is repeated. So here we can see f double dash x will have its root x equal to 1 n minus 2 times, x equal to minus 1 n minus 2 times, so total 2n minus 4, and then again these two roots, so there will be total 2n minus 4 plus 2, so total 2n minus 2 real roots in this closed interval minus 1 to 1. So by the pattern we can say that nth derivative of this function we denote by fn of x has 2n minus n real roots in closed minus 1 to 1. So this function, nth derivative of this function small f of x will have n real roots in closed minus 1 to 1. But in the question it says it has n distinct real roots in open interval minus 1 to 1. So we have to check whether x equal to minus 1 and x equal to 1 will be the roots of this function fn of x or not. So how can we check that? So let us understand by a simple case here. If we take, let's say, the function x to the power n and we differentiate it n times, what will we get? So let us take a simple case d2 dx2 of the function x square. It will be simply d dx of 2x. So basically 2. So we can say by this example that if we differentiate a polynomial function of degree n times, we will get a constant function. Or we can equivalently say that from this pattern here in this f dash x, we can see that we differentiate fx one times, the power reduces to n minus 1. So if we differentiate it n times, the power will reduce to n minus n, that is 0. So overall, the roots of this function will not be x equal to 1 and x equal to minus 1. So we can say by observing the patterns that f n of x will not have its roots equal to 1 or minus 1. So there are n real roots in the open interval minus 1 to 1. But what about the term distinct? So we can say that, as we can see in the previous examples, that the roots of f dash x separates the roots of f double dash x. So we can say the roots of f n minus 1 x will also separate the roots of f n of x. So we can say that this function f n of x, which is basically the nth derivative of small fx, has n distinct real roots in open -1 to 1. Hence, the given statement is proved. I hope you understood this question. Let's proceed with the next question. The next problem says that in how many ways can four identical apples and four identical oranges can be distributed among six children if each child gets at least one fruit. Okay, so there are six children like this: one, two, three, four, five, six. C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, and there are four identical apples and four identical oranges. So we have to distribute them to each children such that each child gets at least one fruit. So we can think about taking cases. So first let us try to understand the combinations. What will be the possible combinations? So now as each child gets at least one fruit, let us take this combination. So we give one fruit each of these four children. So here we will give 2 and 2. Similarly, we can take this case 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 3, and we have to consider all of its possible permutations. So let us take case 1. These two children get two fruits and rest gets one each. So we can again number the children: C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, and C6. So here we can give O, 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 that is orange, and then here apple, 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 apple. Now we can again mirror this case by taking apple, 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 and then orange, orange, and then orange, orange. Similarly, we can take this case apple, orange, then apple, orange, and then here apple, apple, orange, orange. Similarly, we can take these cases apple, orange, then apple, apple, then the remaining apple is here, and then orange, orange, orange. Similarly, we can again mirror this case, which is apple, orange, and then orange, orange, and then the remaining orange here and the apples here. Now we have to also count the number of permutations. So here it can be arranged in 6 factorial by 4 factorial 2 factorial ways. Here it can also be arranged 6 factorial by 4 factorial 2 factorial ways. Now here there are 6 factorial divided by 2 factorial 2 factorial 2 factorial cases. Similarly here the total number of cases will be 6 factorial over 3 factorial, and here also it will be 6 factorial divided by 3 factorial. Now here would be another possible case that we probably missed, that is orange, orange, then apple, apple, and then it will be orange, orange, apple, apple. So here the total number of cases in this will be 6 factorial divided by 2 factorial 2 factorial. So in this first case total number of cases will be 2 times 6 factorial divided by 4 factorial 2 factorial, plus this will be 2 times 6 factorial divided by 3 factorial, plus 6 factorial divided by 2 factorial 2 factorial 2 factorial, plus 6 factorial divided by 2 factorial 2 factorial. So this, if we try to calculate, it will be 30, then plus it will be 6 5s are 30, and then 30 into 4 is 120, and then 2, so 240, plus This will be 90 plus this will be 180. So this altogether will be equal to 540. Now let us take the case 2 where one child will get 3 fruits. So one child will get 3 fruits. So now here are the children C1, C2, C3, C4, C5 and C6. So the possible combinations we have to note down. Let's assume that the first child is given orange, 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 and the remaining orange is here, and then apple, 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 apple. So the next possible combination will be orange, apple, orange, then orange, orange, apple, apple, apple. The next possible combination will be apple, apple, orange, then orange, 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 then apple, apple. Similarly, the next possible combination will be apple, 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 then orange, 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 then the remaining apple here and the remaining orange here. So we can count the number of permutations in this. It will be 6 factorial divided by 4 factorial, and that's it. Similarly, as this case is the mirror of this case, it will be 6 factorial divided by 4 factorial. And this will be 6 factorial divided by 3 factorial 2 factorial, and this will be the same. So here the total number of ways in case 2 will be equal to 2 times 6 factorial divided by 4 factorial plus 2 times 6 factorial divided by 3 factorial 2 factorial. So this if we calculate, it will be 60 plus this is 120, so 180. And no other cases are possible because the maximum number of fruits that each children can get is equal to 3. Because let's say if we give the child C2 4 fruits, okay, then any of those remaining children has to have 0 fruit, but that is not possible. So here the total number of possible ways will be equal to 540 plus 180. So it comes out to be 720. So 720 will be the total number of ways possible in this case. I hope you understood the concept behind this question. The next question says that let AC be non-negative real numbers and f defined from a comma b to c comma d be a bijective increasing function. Okay, so it is a bijective increasing function. That means f dash x is greater than equal to 0 and f inverse x exists. Now, what is the significance of this statement? F is a bijective function. That means if the domain of the function fx is like this and the codomain is like this, the codomain has to be equal to the range of this function. So the codomain is closed interval c to d, so it has to be equal to the range. And f is a increasing function. That means here somewhere is the element x equal to a, and here is the element x equal to b. So a should map with c and b should map with d because f is a increasing function. That means this c must be equal to f of a and d equal to f of b. Now we have to prove that there is a unique real number mu belonging to open interval a to b such that this holds true. Okay, so let us focus on this relation given here. Let us rewrite this. So integral a to b f of t dt equal to mu c minus ac plus bd minus mu d. So here it will be integral a to b f of t dt equal to mu times c minus d plus bd minus ac. Now we already have seen that d is equal to f of b and c is equal to f of a. So we can write this whole expression as b times f of b minus a times f of a. So can you figure out the pattern from this expression? Yes, we are going to use the concept of inverse of a function here. That is the relation between the integral of a function in a certain interval and the integral of the inverse function of that function over the interval f of a to f of b. So we know that integral a to b f of t dt plus integral f of a to f of b f inverse t dt is equal to b f b minus a f a. So this relation is known to us. Now we focus on this relation. So can we tell by direct comparison that this mu times c minus d, if we take in the left hand side, it will become mu times d minus c. It has to be equal to integral f of a to f of b f inverse t dt. Let us assume this value of mu here. So this is our assumption. Assume mu times d minus c is this integral. So mu is basically a constant, which is obvious because this integral, definite integral, is a constant value. So now if we want to assume this value of mu, we need to prove that this mu lies in the open interval a to b. If we can show somehow that this mu lies in this range, then we can definitely say that this is the required value mu, which is a unique real number because this integral is unique and d minus c is also unique. So this equality will hold true. So our claim in this case is that mu, which is equal to integral. Now f of a is basically c and f of b is equal to d. So it is integral c to d f of t dt divided by d minus c lies in open interval a to b. Sorry, this will be not ft, it will be f inverse t. So we have to show that this mu lies in this interval. So let us assume a function gx here, which is integral c to x f inverse t dt for x belonging to closed interval c to d. So we can apply LMVT here because gx is a continuous function in this closed interval and also derivable in this open interval c to d. So g dash x will become simply f inverse of x. So by LMVT, we can say there exists some c, let us say this c1 belonging to the open interval c comma d such that this g dash of c will become g of d, which is this, and minus this will become 0 divided by d minus c. So basically this turns out to be the constant we assume, which is mu. So we can see here this c must belong to the open interval C to D. So G dash C is basically F inverse of C equal to mu. So by the property of inverse function, we can say F of mu equal to C. Sorry, this will be C1 throughout this. So F of mu equal to C1. So now C1 belongs to the open interval C to D. What does this mean? Let us say we have two sets here, codomain and domain. So here is the codomain of F and here is the domain of F. So the inverse function of Fx is basically the mapping from codomain of F to domain of F. So here, if this is an element C1 here, this will map to some mu here because f of mu equal to C1. That means f inverse of C1 is mu. So as C1 belongs to the open interval C to D, so we can say that C1 cannot be equal to C or C1 cannot be equal to D. That means this mu right here cannot be equal to A and mu cannot be equal to b because that will violate the rule that f is a increasing bijective function. So mu cannot be equal to a, mu cannot be equal to b, but mu lies in the closed interval a to b. So that implies mu should belong to the open interval a to b. And this is exactly what we had to prove here. That means our assumption is correct. This mu is this ratio, which is again a constant because this integral is constant and this length of this interval is constant. So mu equal to this lies in open interval a to b such that this relation holds true. So we can say all this thing implies there exists some real number mu belonging to open interval a to b such that the given relation holds true. This is hence proved. I hope you understood this question.